can't keep paying for it the way we're doing it now.
No, sir, we can't.
It's like a bucket with gold.
I like how you opened up your speech with the Fifth Amendment, and I went to the Iowa Republican Convention in June, I think, and there's an author there, Tom Woods. He wrote a book, Notification. I don't know if you have a chance to read it yet or not. But he talks about how state governments have the right to nullify laws. And two things I saw in the news the last 2 days was, one, Senator McCain wants to indefinitely detain American citizens without trial. And then today, the Justice Department wants more.
Now, who's John McCain?
He's running for Senate in Arizona.
I've heard that name before.
I'm sure you
have.
have.
Go on.
And the other one was that the Justice Department wants more authority to spy on internet communications. And it's also at the end. So I spent a lot of time in Jefferson County, and
They want more?
they want more authority, right? So I was wondering if you would sue them.
I thought they had all they needed.
Right. I guess I'm trying to get the actual authority. But would you sue them if you were governor under the 10th Amendment for violating our rights, for the 4th and 5th Amendment? And then as a softball, I spent a lot of time in Jefferson County, and raw milk's a big issue down there. Do you think people should be allowed to drink raw milk if they want to purchase it?
Well, people can smoke cigarettes and drink beer while they watch porn or go to a casino. Yeah, they ought to be able to drink raw milk. As long as I'm not required to pay for it and they have consequences. As far as the others, you know, I've said that there are a number of areas where we just need a governor who will stand up to the tyranny of the federal courts. But understand this, if you're constantly begging for the federal check, it gives the feds a lot more power. States right now are like teenagers. They want the car, they want the credit card, they want to be able to stay out all night, and then they want to be able to come home, get in the fridge, lay in their bed, and have you pay all the bills. So in order for us to assert our sovereignty, we have to begin ending our dependency on the federal government. And once that happens, the 10th Amendment is very clear. You know, very clear. The power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. It's very simple. Very simple. Yes, sir.
Realistically, what are your chances of becoming governor? I mean, if you got a three-way race, is part of the people going to be split?
Well, I think that we have a reasonable chance. Governor Cobra has less of a chance than Harold Hughes, and he's not on the ballot. For those of you who know, Harold Hughes was a former governor of Iowa.
And he's deceased.
And yet he still has a better chance of getting reelected governor than Governor Cobra. So it's either going to be Governor Branstad or it's going to be Governor Narcissus. It's that simple. One of those two. I see Todd. Todd's picked up the hat. That's a signal. I'm getting better.
Better than a hook.
Yes. Picked up the hat.
Well, no, seriously, folks, it's a fair question. Does he really have a realistic shot? And it comes down to the fact that we've gotten this far with, he gets a ton of media coverage throughout the state. We're kind of over here in flyover country in eastern Iowa. You know, we don't know a lot about what happens in Des Moines. At least I don't. You know, I don't know what you guys are like. He's extremely well known in Des Moines. He's on the radio all the time. The sphere of influence out there is huge. And the Vanderplatts folks, we just sent a letter to 500 Vanderplatts financial supporters. They're starting to come back with some checks. They're calling him on the phone because his number's listed. I call this our Jesse Ventura moment here in Iowa. Except the difference is this gentleman has a governance strategy that's been formed out of the fires of the Des Moines School Board and being in the middle of the belly of the beast in the state capitol. He knows where everybody is buried. That's why I am supporting him so much here in eastern Iowa, trying to get him in. He's going to need Kevlar if he gets in.
Well, he's got a brain Jesse didn't.
Thank you. I was trying to be kind. Okay? It was a good thing that Jesse got in. It showed. What happened in Minnesota, it showed you can win an election, a statewide election, without a lot of money. I think he spent $350,000 in that election and still got elected. Granted, he had a lot of name recognition, but he was an all-star wrestler. This guy is a publisher. He understands governance. He's well-read. He, like I said, if you just listen to him, you understand he knows exactly what's going on in Des Moines. So to be totally blunt, if we can get $100,000, we got about a 35% chance of winning. If we can raise $250,000, we got a 75% chance of winning. If we can raise $500,000, which is a pittance in a gubernatorial race, we win. Because it goes so much farther. That's the blunt answer to this. Every dollar these guys spend against each other, beating each other up, is a dollar towards this campaign for this independent candidate. Because people are so flustered and fed up with the two bozos. I don't know how many here watched the first debate that was in Sioux City. Anybody here watch it? Okay, that's okay. Did you hear about it at all anywhere, or read about it or anything? What would you hear about it? Just out of
I
curiosity.
saw it on TV.
What were your
but
thoughts?
I didn't watch it because
Yeah.
I didn't think it made that much difference.
Yeah, there's a cartoonist in one called Duffy. He did a cartoon. It's an animation. It shows them going at each other. And all they just said was liar, 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 liar. That's it. It was a ridiculous. We drove to Sioux City. Ray, myself, John. We got a boardroom at the Clarion Hotel in downtown. We had all three news stations there that night, the ABC, NBC, and CBS affiliates. We went live on the internet for an hour and 15 minutes with a post-debate commentary by John, sharing much of what you've heard tonight. We did live on the internet in real time. We had 56 people on it, unique viewers. It wasn't a lot, but we proved that with a tank of gas and some beef jerky, we could get there and go live to the world with some real answers on this instead of this BS we saw. And he was on the 10 o'clock news on all three stations that night. All right, and so what I'm trying to say is a little bit goes a long way because we have two terrible choices. It'd be one thing if it was just like a rabble rouser, this guy's been around and doing the thing. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to pass the hat.
I want to say the press is saying that Branstad's increased his lead. Guess what? His support level in these polls are the same they were in March. He's not getting any votes. Culver's losing them. And people are looking for alternatives. You're looking at 40 to 45% of the people responding to this poll tell the pollsters, I'm not set in stone on how I'm going to vote. If it was held today, remember, polls are if it was held today. And Branstad isn't gaining any support. His polls against Culver were the same in March that they are today, except Culver's down a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's also everybody in this room who is an Iowan. If you've liked what you've heard about from Jonathan, or if you have more questions, like I said, his telephone number is published on his website. Call him, discuss him. But if every single one of us talks to everybody that we know, then we get the word out and Jonathan wins. If every one of us grabs a sign and puts it in our yard and gets his name known, if they take a poll and 10% of the people know who he is, he's automatically in a debate. Now why that is, I don't know. Because I believe that anybody who runs for governor has the right to participate in a debate. In the state of Iowa, it has to do with 10% of the people knowing his name. But if everybody in this room starts talking about Jonathan, if you liked what you heard, because let's understand one thing. You guys know what the clown in the governor's house right now is going to do. Spend.
Same old stuff he did.
He's an idiot. Branstad had 16 years. Population was flat, and the Republicans will then claim to fame, yes, and he raised taxes slowly.
And he created the
raised
film
taxes.
office. Branstad created the film office.
One of the key questions was what this gentleman just left asked. Can you do it by yourself? And I asked John that same question because I hear all these great ideas. I want 1% property tax. Hell yes. It's ridiculous here in Scott County. But how are you going to get that done? And I love his answer was great, and it's up to us because he can't do it alone. He can go veto stuff and he can break kneecaps and pull arm sockets out, but without us backing him up back here in our county and in our district, we can't keep looking up on high and have one person fix it all. We have, and Cindy, you wrote a great letter to the Quad City Times recently that talked about it. Talked about we got to take care of ourselves. Just expecting this to happen from we got to start taking care of ourselves. So anyway, if you guys could, I'm going to start passing the hat. If you guys would help out a little bit for some gas money for these folks to get back to Des Moines. I also have some business cards for Jonathan that you can share. And there's also envelopes here. If you don't have any cash today or you want to make a more substantial contribution, I'm going to leave some envelopes on the table. $50 buys a big 4x8 barn sign.
You want to keep all them cards?
No, sir. We've got plenty of them. We've got plenty of cards. In fact, can you grab some of those back there, somebody, please?
And Jim Fisher.
And if you live in Illinois, you also can, your money does spend in Iowa.
Yes.
And if I can throw one other thing out, I know we're just in Iowa, but if we win this race, it doesn't just stop in Iowa.
You haven't got a clone now, someplace had it?
Well, if we win this race, I think if we win, if we defeat these two governors, it starts a national movement. Especially with the caucuses coming here in the eye of the world on Iowa for 2 years. It starts a movement.
If I may too, one of our pet peeves is paying income tax on our retirement that we earn. Thought about that? That runs more people off from the state of Iowa, because we've been planning on moving out of Iowa for I don't know how long.
So what I want to do is eventually abolish the income tax. It's absolutely ridiculous that we have folks paying income tax on their retirement benefits.
Just let everybody know, because there's a lot of people who will support you over there.
Yes, sir.
I rarely twist people's arms for this kind of stuff. This is important.
Everybody's got enough education, they can fill out the form, say I made this, and know what the tax is, and pay it. You got people in the government right now that thing they call our president, that still